In this episode, we experience the miraculous oil city of Daqing before soaking ourselves in the delightful hot springs of Yanhai Lake. And to top it all off, we experience and lose ourselves in the wetlands of a birdwatcher's paradise. All this coming up right here on Travelogue.
Hi, I've literally just landed at Daqing Airport, and in today's episode we have got a ton of awesome stuff to get through. First, I reckon you and I head over to the local oil fields in Daqing, and then after that we could probably experience the local delights in Qiqihaer. Following that, I reckon you and I deserve to go and experience the beautiful wetlands and nature reserves so famous in this part of Heilongjiang province. I'm Gareth Edwards, welcome to Travelogue, and welcome to the Heilongjiang series.
China's gigantic transformation into an emerging superpower can be attributed to many things. However, few places in China can lay tangible claim to being one of the main catalysts of that change. One of the few is Daqing. It's in this northeast Chinese city that the country's largest oil field was discovered in the late 50s, ending a period of Chinese dependency on foreign oil and forming the basis of incredible economic growth, which continues to this day.
Where there's oil, there's money, and where there's money, there's luxury hotels. So if you're not on a shoestring budget, I think you can have a pretty luxurious time here in Daqing. But for me, thanks Travelogue.
Well, there's another one. These oil pumps are all over the place in Daqing. But here I was pleasantly surprised at how this is some of the freshest air I've breathed in a long time. And one of my friends who lives here just told me how hundreds of millions of RMB are spent to reduce the pollution out here. You can actually feel it. When you think of oil drills, your mind probably doesn't automatically think of clean air. Well, there are some surprises in store for you.
Wow, this is a pretty strange sight indeed. To my left, you've got the city, you've got the cars and traffic, right? And right to my right, you've got a proper massive oil pump. And if you're anything like me, who's never been to an oil well before or seen one of these drills before, this is quite a sight indeed. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to go to the Middle East to go and find your oil well. You can just come right here in Daqing. Pretty amazing. Let's go and check out what these guys get up to. Come on.
The oil workers of Daqing are not the typical oil workers you might see on television or in the newspapers. There's no travelling off to distant lands or spending 1 month on and 1 month off some oil rig in the middle of the sea. Here, being an oil worker is seen as something of a prestigious job, and the workers lead fairly relaxed lifestyles.
你好。你好，你好。谢谢。
你们前次在做什么？我们这回已经打完了，正在进行的是下套管作业。
这里有一个水箱啊。
对，是这样的，我们为了怕影响学生们上课，然后利用1个月时间抢出来把这个进食打完了。
你喜欢你的工作吗？
我的父母就是油田上的，我是油田的子女，我非常喜欢自己的工作。
第一次我来这里，再见啊，
拜拜，
拜拜。Now, what I find absolutely mind-boggling is that right there you've got a school, and over there you've got a residential complex, and to my left you've got streets with cars going by, and smack bang right in the middle of this you've got this huge drill, the newest drill in Daqing. And for me, it's quite hard to reconcile which one does come first, the oil or the city. And I actually think they prosper together. Pretty amazing stuff.
In 1960, Chairman Mao decided that China should no longer rely on foreign oil supplies and decided to step up domestic production. A team was sent to an untapped field in Yumen. The team worked through fatigue and injury over many days in diabolical conditions, in temperatures dropping as low as minus 30 degrees, before finally striking oil.
There is a person in Daqing who is famous and important to the Chinese people and also to the Chinese oil industry. And this building was built in memory of him. 53 years ago, the first oil field was discovered in Daqing. And 20 years later, Daqing was created literally from scratch. And if you think about it, it's literally because of Wang Jingxi and his merry group of hard-working men behind him that the Chinese oil industry was created. And they were also the first people to settle in this great city and make Daqing what it is today. Pretty awesome.
Wang Jingxi was born in 1923 to a poor family in Gansu province. He worked as a shepherd and a coal carrier before starting work in the Yumen oil field in 1938 at the age of just 15 years old. Here, he would form part of the famous number 1205 drilling team that helped change China's future. In recognition of the team's exploits, Wang Jingxi was honored by Mao Zedong, who referred to him as a pillar of the industry. He was nicknamed the Iron Man for his great strength and perseverance, becoming a symbol of the working class in the new China.
It's here that you can just see just how difficult the circumstances were for them. And if you think about it, back then, it was incredibly tough circumstances. They didn't even have any technology, and they were doing all of this manually. And if you compare that to today, I mean, you've got drills and the technology in China is the most advanced in the world. It's pretty mind-boggling stuff.
To some, it's simply the Daqing Oil Museum. To others, the Daqing Oilfield Science and Technology Museum. But whatever you choose to call it, make sure you head over to this vast exhibition area because it's the largest science and technology museum in the whole of China. There's plenty of things to see here, but a personal highlight was reliving the exploits of Wang Jingxi and his amazing drilling crew. In one instance, to save an oil well that was on the verge of exploding, Wang jumped into the oil and with his bare hands started digging. Inspired by this, the other workers jumped in and the well was saved. Now that's what I call employees of the month.
You are Daqing 本地人吗？
对，我就是大庆本地人，而且我的爸爸、我的爷爷都是大庆的石油工人。
你觉得以前的Daqing或者是现在的Daqing有什么区别？
首先就是在油田开发的技术上，我的爷爷他们原来好多工作都是靠人力来完成，而现在都是全部机械化了。另外一个最大的区别就是原来的大庆是一片荒原，而现在是高楼林立，非常漂亮的一座城市。所以呢，我作为大庆的油田的一名石油人呢，也非常骄傲和自豪的。
Join us in tasting the culinary delights of the Northeast. Try your luck at a Mongolian horse racing track and soak yourself in one of the famous hot springs of Lianhua Lake. All of this coming up next. In this episode, we experience the miraculous oil city of Daqing before soaking ourselves in the delightful hot springs of Lianhua Lake. And to top it all off, we experience and lose ourselves in the wetlands of the birdwatcher's paradise. All this coming up right here on Travelogue.
So I've just made my way over to Tiedong village, East Daqing, and it's here that you can try a remarkable local cuisine called Qiqihaer cuisine. And Qiqihaer sounds pretty strange even to the Chinese. It literally means cave bake. Let's go and check it out. Wow. So as you can see, what you've got here is a stove that is quite literally made out of stone. And what they do is they'll heat up underneath and then put out the flames, and the heat is still strong enough. And then at that point, you just put in all the ingredients. So you've got a bit of potato that they bake, a bit of chicken, anything you can think of, duck, anything at all. And then after that, put the lid over, and bingo, just wait for it to all be finished and done. I'm looking forward to this delicious food.
Kung-Kao, or cave bake, is a cuisine that originated in Dongbei, the northeast of China. Before oil was discovered in Daqing, the poor rural villagers noticed that they could use the smouldering remains of a fire to bake food, and having no modern way to cook, Kung-Kao became a useful way to eat and keep warm during the freezing cold winters. Nowadays, Kung-Kao is still popular, especially for those that are keen to have a change from the oily food that is typical of the region.
I can't believe this is actually baked. Everything is baked here. This is a good part, basically. Let's try this out. Awesome. It looks burnt, but it's succulent, and it goes down very easily, let me tell you.
As I make my way over to Duar-Bote, I come across a horse racing track which is owned by one of the locals. This part of Heilongjiang is populated mostly by the Mongolian ethnic minority, and for them, horse racing is a popular pastime. Keen to try out my luck, I head over to place my bets.
Who says you got to go all the way to London Ascot to enjoy the races? Right here, the Mongolians have got their very own racetrack, and my money is on Taiyun Beizaijian, which I think it means horse number 4.
Horses are highly valued in Mongolian culture. Throughout history, they were very important in people's daily lives, especially for the nomads. There is a traditional saying in Mongolian which goes, "A Mongol without a horse is like a bird without wings." Here, at the Duar-Bote grassland horse racing track, you can see just how popular horse racing is, with hundreds of people turning up every day to try out their luck.
Come on, time! Number 4! Come on! Number 4! Just remember, Travelogue, I'm doing this to make the real money. Come on, number 4! 4! Come on! Go! Come on! Ah! Number 4! No! What about my earlier comment, boss? Do I get to keep my job?
After losing much of my admittedly paltry fortune on horse number 4, which ironically is the last horse that any Chinese person would ever bet on, given that 4 in Mandarin phonetically sounds like the word death, I decide to head to Lianhua Lake in the hope of raising my spirits.
Right, I've just been ordered to literally take my clothes off, or not take my clothes off, jump in with my clothes and go on a ride with one of these very safe looking kind of water skis, kind of jet ski things. So I gotta do what my boss tells me to do. See you later. It's so cold! I mean, it's really nice here.
Well, I wasn't actually supposed to jump in with all my clothes on, but the water's fresh and I'm waterproof anyway.
I tell you what, that was the first time I ever did that. Oh crikey, that's definitely not for the faint-hearted.
For you action fans out there, you won't be disappointed. Here, you can immerse yourself fully in all the adrenaline-pumping water sports you can think of. All this within the beautiful surroundings of the reedy marshlands. And after that, why not take a soak in the famous hot springs overlooking the lake?
The really interesting thing about these hot springs is that They're actually linked up to Lianhua Lake, and the water is pumped up all the way from 1,800 meters. And on top of that, it's mixed with special Mongolian medicine, which is supposed to be very good for helping you sleep and has curative elements to it. But anyway, enough of the talk, I'm going to head in. Whoa, that is hot. That's hot. It is a hot spring after all. But, you know, actually, it's quite relaxing now. And man, tell you what, you can't beat this view. This is absolutely amazing.
Indulge yourself in a spot of birdwatching or one of China's ecological wonders, and join us on a cruise among the reedy wetlands so famous here in Heilongjiang. All this coming up next.
So I've made it to Qiqihaer, and I'm currently standing on Heilongjiang Bridge. And right beneath us, flowing through, is the second largest river in Heilongjiang province, the Heilongjiang River. And right here, this entire area has a history of dating as long as 300 years, and 285 of which, Qiqihaer was very much the capital of Heilongjiang province. How about you and I go and check out what this city's all about, and who we can meet, and what we can do.
Nestled on the middle and lower reaches of the Heilongjiang River as it crosses the Songyang Plain is the second largest city in Heilongjiang, Qiqihaer, which for 285 years was the provincial capital. With a history that has largely been defined by borderland skirmishes from foreign invaders, Qiqihaer became a strategic military garrison that was crucial to maintaining control over Heilongjiang.
This place, back when Qiqihaer was still the capital city of Heilongjiang province, the military governors used to have their headquarters here and used to rule the rest of Heilongjiang. And in 1954, they pretty much all moved out, and it's all empty now, but it looks like they've kept it pretty well kept.
As I walk around Qiqihaer, I happen to chance upon a street performance of Heilongjiang and various other local songs and dances. Heilongjiang is a local art form that is very popular in northeast China. Its origins can be traced back 300 years to when rural villagers would perform comic songs and dances to help people take their minds off the harsh conditions. Over the years, Heilongjiang has evolved to entertainment for large audiences across China. If you're in Qiqihaer, it won't be unusual for you to see lots of these types of performances. From dance culture to food culture, and here in Heilongjiang there's no sign of Atkins diets, Dukan diets or any other form of diet. In fact, every meal is a banquet. One thing that really surprises me more than anything else in this part of China is just how big the dishes are. However, it's not a case of regional greed. In fact, part of the reason you'll find extra large pieces of crockery is because in the old days, people used to come together to eat their meals.
Now what I'm lying on right here is called a kang, and it means hotbed, and it's very popular in this part of Dongbei. And literally what they do is they'll heat up the bed from underneath, and Dongbei people will usually use this area to entertain people, to sleep on, to socialize, and yeah, it's pretty much the most important part of the house.
Well, both the food and the culture were geared towards surviving the freezing cold winters. In the old days, most of the food would be boiled and people would drink and still drink copious amounts of baijiu liquor, which would help keep them warm. And so, it's customary for people here to politely make you drink more.
Alright, as you can see, this is typical Dongbei dishes. And these guys don't do things in half measures. I mean, literally the size of these are twice the size that I've seen anywhere else. So here you've got a bit of sweet potato. Here, I think this is called Daqing, which literally means great harvest. And they just put a lot of vegetables in and all that. And there you've got a bit of tofu. Here's some sweet cornbread, I think. And this here is some of the local produce that they have, and it's literally much stronger than vodka. It's about anything between 40% right up to 70%. So for you kids out there, you know, be careful of this stuff, especially if you're in Qiqihaer.
It takes us around 45 minutes by bus to reach the Daqing Nature Reserve from Qiqihaer. Here, you will find one of Heilongjiang's prized ecological wonders. Set up in 1979 along a bird migration route that extends from the Russian Arctic down into Southeast Asia, the reserve is made up of around 210,000 hectares of wetlands.
Right, I'm here at Daqing Nature Reserve, which is about 30 kilometers southwest of Qiqihaer. And this whole area right here is an eco-friendly zone. So we've had to park the bus over there and got to get ready to use one of these eco-friendly eco-buggies. Right, let's go.
You birdwatchers out there are going to love this place. The reserve is home to a plethora of your favourite avian buddies, including 4 species of endangered cranes. And having done some research myself, I'm especially excited about seeing the rare and endangered red-crowned crane.
And this is the part where all the people can congregate, and it's the bird observing zone. And here you can see all 260 different species of birds. It's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the red crane bird.
Walking around, I can see that it's not just the locals that come to Daqing for some downtime. People from all over the world make their way here to discover and observe the rare cranes.
Yeah, I just noticed you're here just enjoying the views. Just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. But so you're from Cornell?
I'm from Cornell University.
And are you a bird watcher yourself?
I do watch birds. I'm not a fanatic.
Right.
I do watch birds. Cornell has a very famous lab of ornithology where they study birds.
Right.
Yes.
What are you hoping to see here at Daqing
I
Reserve?
just wanted to see the cranes and the marshland.
Yeah.
The red-crowned crane is particularly threatened. There are only about 2,400 left in the world, with roughly half of them living in northeastern China. As I walk around the peaceful surroundings of the marshlands, I am mindful of keeping a close eye on the time. After all, one can only see the red-crowned cranes 3 times a day, and it'd be a real shame not to catch a few snaps of them.
So these red cranes right here are near extinct, and ironically, in China and in Korea, they are the ancient symbol of immortality and longevity. And that's because they can live right up to the age of 60 years old. This is once in a lifetime. Rare sight.
The reason the red-crowned crane is so rare is because people have been hunting them for food and sport. However, these unlucky birds have also had to contend with the decline of their natural marshland habitat, which has contributed to their dwindling numbers.
Can you hear the bird sound? It's almost like a... I don't think I'm doing it very well, but something like that, you know.
Luckily, in the reserve, there are rangers to protect and help grow the crane population.
我姓王，叫王昭。
这个工作你怎么开始做的？
本来挺喜欢这个饲养动物，尤其是咱们这个丹顶鹤是珍贵的鸟类。通过这个朋友介绍说这里需要这个饲养丹顶鹤。
还有你的同事他们做这个工作多长时间了？
他们也不一样，有的是3年、2年、4年，对。
这个平时是可以逛一逛、玩一玩吧？
对，当然。那个鹤很聪明，它饿的时候就是叫，找我们。 完了你喂它食，它围着你身边转啊。对，平时跟我们在一起，它就是没有攻击性；如果生人在一起，它会有攻击性。
It's not just cranes that you can observe at the reserve. Here, there are more than 260 bird species for you to take a look at. Fancy a turn at bird spotting whilst cruising amongst the reedy marshlands?
So we're just going to get on this boat here that would allow us to get a closer view at the local wildlife. Let's get on.
Although the Jialong Nature Reserve is China's largest reedy wetland, this type of landscape can be found in many places around the northeast. In fact, a couple of hours prior to coming here, we also witnessed the wetlands surrounding Daqing.
Wow, what an absolutely majestic sight. It's actually very rare for me to come to a place of such rare and unique beauty. And unfortunately, we're running towards the end of our episode. Daqing and Qiqihaer were both very different places, but for me, the Jialong Nature Reserve really was a true highlight. Let's not forget how welcoming the people of Qiqihaer were, how great the local sites were, and also how very different the oil fields of Daqing were for a typical oil city. Anyway, I'm Gareth Edwards. I'll catch you next time on Travelogue. Shoestring budget, I think you can have a pretty luxurious time here in Daqing. But for me, thanks Travelogue.
Well, there's another one. These oil pumps are all over the place in Daqing. But here I was pleasantly surprised at how this is some of the freshest air I've breathed in a long time. And one of my friends who lives here just told me how hundreds of millions of RMB are spent to reduce the pollution out here. You can actually feel it. When you think of oil drills, your mind probably doesn't automatically think of clean air. Well, there are some surprises in store for you.
Wow, this is a pretty strange sight indeed. To my left, you've got the city, you've got the cars and traffic, right? And right to my right, you've got a proper massive oil pump. And if you're anything like me, who's never been to an oil well before or seen one of these drills before, this is quite a sight. Now what I find absolutely mind-boggling is that right there you've got a school, and over there you've got a residential complex, and to my left you've got streets with cars going by, and smack bang right in the middle of this you've got this huge drill, the newest drill in Daqing. And for me, it's quite hard to reconcile which one does come first, the oil or the city. And I actually think they prosper together. Pretty amazing stuff.
In 1960, Chairman Mao decided that China should no longer rely on foreign oil supplies and decided to step up domestic production. A team was sent to an untapped field in Yumen. The team worked through fatigue and injury over many days in diabolical conditions, in temperatures dropping as low as minus 30 degrees, before finally striking oil. In this episode, we experienced the miraculous oil city of Daqing before soaking ourselves in the delightful hot springs of Yanhai Lake. And to top it all off, we experience and lose ourselves in the wetlands of a birdwatcher's paradise. All this coming up right here on Travelogue.
Hi, I've literally just landed at Daqing Airport, and in today's episode we have got a ton of awesome stuff to get through. First, I reckon you and I head over to the local oil fields in Daqing, and then after that we can indeed. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to go to the Middle East to go and find your oil well. You can just come right here in Daqing. Pretty amazing. Let's go and check out what these guys get up to. Come on.
The oil workers of Daqing are not the typical oil workers you might see on television or in the newspapers. There's no travelling off to distant lands or spending 1 month on and 1 month off some oil rig in the middle of the sea. Here, being an oil worker is seen as something of a prestigious job, and the workers lead fairly relaxed lifestyles.
你好。
你好，你好。
好，谢谢。
你们现在做什么？
我们这回已经打完了，正在进行的是下陶管作业。
这里有一个水箱啊。
对，是这样的，我们为了怕影响学生们上课，然后利用1个月时间抢出来把这个进食打完了。
你喜欢你的工作吗？
我的父母就是油田上的，我是油田的子女，我非常喜欢自己的工作。
Probably experienced the local delights in Qiqihaer. Following that, I reckon you and I deserve to go and experience the beautiful wetlands and nature reserves so famous in this part of Heilongjiang province. I'm Gareth Edwards, welcome to Travelogue, and welcome to the Heilongjiang series.
China's gigantic transformation into an emerging superpower can be attributed to many things. However, few places in China can lay tangible claim to being one of the main catalysts of that change. One of the few is Daqing. It's in this northeast Chinese city that the country's largest oil field was discovered in the late 50s, ending a period of Chinese dependency on foreign oil and forming the basis of incredible economic growth, which continues to this day.
Where there's oil, there's money, and where there's money, there's luxury hotels. So if you're not on the